Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Street Sense, the Derby winner, arrives at Pimlico as the favorite, currently on the board at 7-5. 2 weeks ago at Churchill Downs, Street Sense, 19th at that point in a field of 20, came roaring from behind to win by 2 1/4 lengths. A victory that suddenly made his 40-year-old journeyman jockey an even bigger story than the horse.
Love you. Okay, babe. Bye-bye. My dad always told me, you know, if you want something, you gotta go get it. Nobody's gonna give you nothing. It's like you dream about it, you woke up, you know, and it's come true. And I haven't slept in 3 days. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Jockey Calvin Burrell can add another first to his list after winning the Kentucky Derby over the weekend. He's been invited to attend the state dinner at the White House in honor of...
Let me shake it too now.
All right,
Congratulations.
thank you. It's just to be known that I did it, you know. I can tell my kids and my grandkids later on, I did it. What you done, sweetheart?
Congratulations. We're so
Thank you very much,
happy
baby.
for you.
That'll be the most wonderful thing in my life. I can tell my kids.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby as a crush of horses passes beneath the twin spires for the first time.
There were 20 horses in the field 2 Saturdays ago at Churchill Downs. And atop the favorite, Street Sense, Calvin Burrell had reason to be hopeful. Hopeful that the fastest 2 minutes in sports would turn out to be the greatest 2 minutes of his life. For much of the race, though, things didn't seem to be going according to plan.
Street Sense is the 19th of 20 as they continue down the backstretch.
Calvin's pretty gutsy, and this horse seems to be pretty gutsy too, because wherever Calvin says, let's go, and it seems like if there's a peak of daylight, he's there.
And there's Street Sense with a huge move on the far turn, and Calvin Burrell saving ground every step of the way.
Second to last, but I was not worried one bit.
And Street Sense draws alongside as they move headlong into the final furlong.
He scares me sometimes, you know, when I ask him to do something and he does it, and you ask him for more and he does more. I mean, I trust him in my life. He wouldn't put me in a bad spot, you know, no matter what.
And Street Sense has roared from 19th position to first in the Derby. Street Sense, a stretch running sensation.
This is the most greatest moment of my life.
He says his father told him at an early age, if you want something, you have to go out and get it. 2 weeks ago, that's what Calvin Burrell did. Today, he and Street Sense go for the second jewel of racing's ever more elusive Triple Crown in the 132nd Preakness Stakes. Well, the rain is pelting down right now, but NBC Weather Plus tells us that this storm should be brief and should move out of here by the time the race is set to be run. Back to Calvin Burrell. Prior to the Derby, outside Kentucky racing circles, he was virtually unknown. Then 2 days later, he was at a state dinner at the White House in honor of the Queen of England. Turning now to a crown that actually has to be earned. There hasn't been a Triple Crown winner since affirmed in 1978. 6 of the last 10 Derby winners have in fact gone on to win the Preakness, but none of them could complete the Triple Crown by prevailing in the Belmont. And then, of course, there was Barbaro, who had the look of a super horse until tragedy struck a year ago here at Pimlico. As always, Tom Hammond anchors our coverage. Tom, in recent years, we've learned not to get our hopes up too high concerning the possibility of a Triple Crown. And when it comes to Street Sense, good as he is, there are still some questions that remain.
Exactly, Bob, and hang on to that umbrella. Looked like it was about to take you airborne there a couple of times. There still are a couple of unanswered questions about Street Sense, as brilliant as he has been. His 2 dominant performances were both at Churchill Downs, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the Derby. And in both cases, he got through on the rail. So can he duplicate those races without those 2 factors in his favor? 8 other horses will try to deny Street Sense the second leg of the Triple Crown, and the stiffest competition figures to come from 3 that trailed him in the Derby. Plus, there are 5 new horses that didn't run for the Roses. History does favor Street Sense. Derby winners have accounted for 6 of the last 10 editions of the Preakness, and this is a formful race. Favorites have won over 50% in the first 131 runnings. Here are the current odds for the Preakness, and Street Sense is the favorite. Mint Slulip based in Maryland. A long shot at 30, Exchanger at 20-1. Circular Key, one of 2 horses trained by Todd Pletcher at 5-1. He was 6th in the Derby. Curlin, who was 3rd at Churchill Downs, is 3-1, the second choice. King of the Roxy, the other Pletcher horse, 15-1. Lucas's horse, Dwayne Lucas, has won this race 5 times. Flying First Class is 13-1. Hard Spun, the 3rd choice. He was runner-up at Churchill Downs. He's 4-1. Street Sense is 7-5, and CP West from the barn of Nick ZITO is 21-1. Preakness is worth $1 million. They'll race it over 1 mile and 3/16. That's a 16th of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby. All the 3-year-old horses will carry 126 pounds. Temperature was 72, might be dropping now as the rain comes down, but as of yet, it has not been enough rain to affect the condition of the track. The track is fast. And we're joined now by Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, who won the Preakness a couple of times. And first of all, the weather, Gary, how much rain will it take to affect that track condition still fast?
It's going to have to come down hard for, I'd say, a good 45, 50 minutes, and it's not coming down that hard right now. This racetrack is real sandy on top, not a real deep base, but on that base it's hard. So it's going to take some significant rain for it to get sloppy out there.
All right, let's go back 2 weeks ago to Churchill Downs now and relive Street Sense with that great run up the rail to take the roses. It actually began at the start.
Yeah, and the start wasn't that important a thing for Street Sense and Calvin Burrell. He comes away very, very relaxed. You see him in 13 right there. 14th, he's eventually going to wind up 19th. Meantime, up in front, Hard Spun establishes a very comfortable lead right here. He's going to get some pressure later on in the race that makes the pace a lot faster.
This is where this great run now by Street Sense begins. Tremendous burst of speed. And how did all the other riders come off the rail to let him through?
Well, at this point in the race, the rest of the riders are worried about their own horses. They're not really worried about what Calvin Burrell is doing on the fence. They're fighting for position of what they're doing. Calvin spots a gap right there, comes out side of Sledgefield and Julian Le Peru. The only one he's got left in front of him right now is Hard Spun and Mario Pino. He flies by him right here, and you're going to see Calvin Burrell drift over to the fence right back to where he likes to run there and go on and win the race by a little over 2 lengths.
But when he did come over, there might have been something we didn't notice when we saw the race live.
Yeah, it appears that Hard Spun clips the heel of Street Sense as he comes by and swerves in front of him. Mario Pino very quickly reaches up, grabs Hard Spun's head, holds him up, gets him balanced again, and he goes on and gets beat, like I say, a little over 2 lengths. But did it cost him more than 2 lengths? I don't know if it did or not. Mario Pino must not have felt that it did. He didn't claim foul. He's been around for a long time. I don't think they were going to change anything.
And watching it a moment ago in the jockey's room here at Pimlico, Mario Pino, as you talked to him, he wasn't aware that he had clipped heels. It appeared that he did, but he thought the horse might have just bobbled. Calvin Burrell also watching from the jockey's room live.
Right, when I talked to Mario, he said that the horse had actually bobbled at the 3 furlong pole, 3/8 of a mile left in the race. He said that he misstepped there. He wasn't sure if he misstepped at the 8th pole or if he actually clipped heels. That isn't conclusive of what we saw, but from what we saw, it sure looks like he did clip heels right there. And the Churchill surface, a lot of times there are some spaces on that track where a horse will take funny steps with you, and obviously that's what Hard Spun was doing early on in the race.
Well, another horse that had trouble was Curlin. You remember he came to Churchill Downs unbeaten, but in only 3 career races, and he had trouble right from the outset.
Yeah, he sure did. This was only his 4th race of his career. He's used to being up on the lead, or close to the lead in all of his races. He gets shuffled back very early in the race right there. You see Robbie Alvarado get knocked out of position there. It costs him 3 or 4 lengths. He's going to get shuffled back again right now. This is valuable ground and valuable lessons that this horse is learning right now. And you know what? He came through the stretch. He's passing horses with every stride in the last 16th of a mile and winds up getting beaten 5.5 lengths by Street Sense and Hard Spun. So I think he learned some valuable lessons there, Tom.
So perhaps an important lesson learned by Curlin. And earlier today in the Dixie Stakes here at Pimlico, a couple of races before the Preakness, on the turf here on this track, a mishap. And Robbie Alvarado, the rider of Curlin, is aboard Einstein. And Einstein about to run over a fallen horse and rider. So Robbie Alvarado bails out, jumps off Einstein, and fell to the turf course. Here is Alvarado right there, jumping off Einstein to avoid a fallen horse and rider. And as we reported earlier, he is okay. He got up, walked off the track, and spoke with Donner Brothers in the jockey's room in our coverage earlier, and is all right to ride Curlin in the Preakness. Well, if you're going to call this race, you have to, of course, have an idea of how the race might unfold. And atop the Pimlico stand is the man that will call the race for us, Tom Durkin. Tom, how do you see this race unfolding today?
Well, things change from the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness, the track itself, the distance, and the competition. And sometimes there's a change in tactics as well. Perhaps today for Hard Spun. He was the front runner in the Kentucky Derby, in front for more than a mile. But today, with the entry of front-running horses like Exchanger, and especially the long shot Speedball Flying First Class, we might not see Hard Spun in the lead today. He might need to be just a little bit off that pace to prevent too fast, too soon. And perhaps there might be a change in tactics today from the Derby winner himself, Street Sense. Here at Pimlico, very difficult to win, coming from 20 lengths out of it, as he did in the Kentucky Derby. Sure, he's still going to be a stretch runner, but I don't think he's going to be that far off the pace today. So Tom will see Street Sense a little bit closer, and at least today he won't have to come from 19th. Just 9th.
And he might have some company back there at the back of the pack early. Circular Key also likes to run from well behind in the early going. That's the Pimlico Grandstand. As we look the other way, the stable area and then the stakes barn. This is where most of the Preakness horses are stabled. It's traditional that the Kentucky Derby winner goes in the first stall, stall 40. You see a crowd gathered out around that stall 40 where Street Sense resides. And also right down in that mix is Kenny Rice. Kenny?
Tom, Street Sense keeping with that tradition here at the Stakes Barn, but he is the only Derby winner to travel with hockey gear. The stick and the skates going in along with the bridle and the saddle when he takes to the road. These belong to his exercise rider, Mark Cutler, who gets in pickup games when he is on the road. And Carl Nafsker, the trainer of Street Sense, isn't changing this routine. He doesn't follow the sport closely, but he knows and appreciates in both hockey and horse racing, the hat trick is special. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
Well, thanks, Kenny. And Street Sense will be the big favorite in his quest for that hat trick, and well, he should be, because he was so impressive in the Derby that only 3 of the 19 horses that ran against him are back here today. But, you know, I think any one of those 3 is capable of improvement. Hard Spun ran a huge race, set a fast pace, was passed by Street Sense in the stretch, but this is a 16th of a mile shorter. Curlin ran 3rd. Was only his 4th career race, and we already saw the trouble that he encountered during the running of the Derby. And Circular Key, he was making his first start in 8 weeks, plus he was forced to race wide throughout. So these 3 figured to provide the main competition for Street Sense. 5 others are entered. For more on them, let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
All right, Mike. Well, last year, of course, we had Bernardini, who was a big threat to big favorite Barbaro, but there are no Bernardinis in this year's race. I think the most talented horse, the new face, is King of the Roxy, but thus far he's shown no inclination to tackle these marathon Triple Crown distances. But as Tom Durkin pointed out a little earlier, they will affect the pace of the race. Horses like Exchanger and Flying First Class, they love to blast out of the gate, and they could hurt Hard Spun, force them wide, perhaps use too much energy too soon, that could have set up the late runs of Street Sense or Circular Key. I'm proud to say the rain has stopped. It will be a fast track, we believe, for the Preakness Stakes. Let's go to Donna Brothers.
That's good news, Bob. Well, we had a fast track 2 weeks ago when we were at Churchill Downs. 2 weeks ago when Calvin Burrell won the Derby, he was on Calvin Burrell's home track. We're in PINO country this week. Mario Pino has won almost 4,900 races in Maryland. In fact, he won his very first leading rider title at Pimlico in 1980 when Calvin Burrell was only 14 years old. It's yet to be determined whether this home track advantage is going to give an advantage to Mario Pino this week, but if it does, the tables could be turned, Tom.
All right, Mario Pino knows his way around Pimlico. He won the 5,900th race of his career earlier today at Pimlico. And Calvin Burrell, riding at Pimlico for the first time yesterday, first time in his career, won his first race here. Who will prevail in the Preakness? Welcome back to Pimlico, where the brief rain shower has ended and the sun starting to peek through. As we check the current odds, one of the undercard races finishing there. Mint Slulip still a long shot at 30-1, the longest on the board. Exchanger might show some early speed. There's a mixed opinion about that. 20-1. Circular Key at 5. Curlin is at 3. King of the Roxy 15-1. Flying First Class 13-1. Hard Spun still at 4-1. Street Sense the 7-5 favorite, 21-1 on CP West. And the two horses trained by Todd Pletcher, still looking for that elusive first Triple Crown victory, are getting some play. Circular Key and King of the Roxy. Let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Tom, Todd Pletcher had 5 horses in the Kentucky Derby. None of them finished in the money. He is now 0 for 26 in Triple Crown races. He's sort of in the position that Phil Mickelson was in not so long ago till he finally broke through at the Masters. The position Peyton Manning was in prior to this past season in football. In fact, just a few weeks ago, Pletcher purchased a framed Peyton Manning jersey, which hangs in his office, kind of as a reminder and an inspiration. If this was the year that Manning broke through and was no longer referred to as the best quarterback never to win the Super Bowl, maybe sometime during this racing season, Todd Pletcher can ditch the label of the greatest trainer never to win a Triple Crown race.
Today, the eyes and ears of the world turn to the greatest 2 minutes in sports, the Kentucky Derby.
You are the top trainer of the country right now, but do you need to win this race to actually be put in that category?
Definitely. You know, I mean, this is the one everybody wants the most, including me. So, yeah, I think so.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
With a quarter of the field under his watch, Pletcher tried to break his curse by finding success in numbers. Numbers are something he knows well. He calls his horses his soldiers. And with an army of 200, Todd Pletcher's stable earned nearly $27 million last year. And Pletcher himself won the Eclipse Award as the best trainer in American racing for the 3rd consecutive year. But as this Derby played out, the trainers' quintet was left behind. And Todd Pletcher would leave Churchill Downs denied again.
Todd Pletcher, another disappointing day as the Derby continues to elude America's leading trainer.
So Todd Pletcher now turns to Pimlico. With 2 of his soldiers, King of the Roxy and Circular Key, his next shot's at a big prize. As the question still lingers, how much longer will Todd Pletcher remain the greatest trainer, never to win when it counts the most? Todd, I know it gets old, but now here we are, 0 for 26 in Triple Crown races, and the question will be asked until you win 1 or more of them.
Well, you know, I feel like I've been very fortunate. In only 11 years of training, we've been fortunate enough to win a whole lot of big races, and unfortunately, none of them have been in the Triple Crown. You know, it might be a little deceiving. We only ran in 7 derbies. We've had a couple of seconds and a 4th and a 3rd, so we're knocking on the door. We need to get it done, and it'd be nice when we do.
You've seldom, if ever, had the heavy betting favorite, so it can't be said that you walked away having lost with the favorite, and that's the case here. Circular Key is given a good shot, but again, not in the favorite's position.
Well, actually, he might, if he stays at 5-1, might be the shortest price we've ever run in any of the Triple Crown races, so maybe that's a good omen.
Circular Key got a bad trip at the Derby, but finished well. That's got to give you some optimism heading in today.
Well, it's very much like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. When we were making our move, Street Sense was making his. He got through on the inside. We had to go a bit wide. It was sort of like the race was over at that point. So we're hoping to make up for that from the inside post. We should be able to save ground. Hopefully that makes a difference.
You were quoted earlier this week as saying, if Street Sense runs as well as he did at Churchill Downs, case closed. We need him to come back a little bit. We got to do better. Still feel that way?
Well, his 2 races at Churchill and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the Kentucky Derby were awesome. You know, I mean, he was dominant in those races. We've got to hope he's not quite as good at Pimlico, not quite as good back in 2 weeks, and that we step forward.
How do you see the race playing out today?
Well, I think Wayne controls the pace of the race with flying first class. If he goes out and wants the lead, then Hard Spun has a decision to make on whether or not he's going to rate off of him. What we're hoping for with Circular Key is they go really fast. Our other horse, King of the Roxy, should be able to sit in a good position regardless of what those 2 do.
Good luck again today, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to Tom.
All right, Bob and Gary, I feel, and I'm sure you feel the same way, it's just a matter of time for Todd Pletcher.
It certainly is, and what I like is he's not making any excuses. He says, I haven't brought the right one over there yet. Maybe today with Circular Key, he's going to be the right one, or King of the Roxy.
All right, well, the last time we saw trainer Michael Matz at Pimlico, he was watching his Derby winner Barbaro race in the Preakness. You know the story. The concern evident on the face of Matz. Then he would rush to the side of his horse. Barbaro later loaded on the ambulance for the trip to New Bolton Center in the ultimately unsuccessful fight to save his life. Well, today, Matt's returned to Pimlico with a 3-year-old Cherokee racing in the Barbaro Stakes on the Preakness undercard. The race formerly the Sir Barton, now renamed in honor of the fallen hero. A kiss from his wife Dee Dee as Cherokee romped to victory in the first Barbaro Stakes in the Centennial Farm colors. And Roy and Gretchen Jackson presenting the trophy to Michael Matz, who spoke with Bob Newmark.
Michael Matz, can we tap into your emotions that are swimming around your gut right now in the 1-year anniversary of the injury to Barbaro?
Well, I'm feeling a lot better than I did last year, that's for sure. And it's a great honor to get the Jacksons present a trophy from a horse that I trained for them, and you know, it's just a great feeling.
You've won a lot of races in your life, the Kentucky Derby included. To win the first ever Barbaro Stakes with a horse trained by you, what's that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot, considering Barbaro did so much for me and for everybody. It's a great feeling.
I think there's a little tear in your eye, Michael, if I might point that out.
Yeah, I'm real happy about it.
A bittersweet moment as he wins the first Barbaro Stakes. A bitter moment for us all as we remember Barbaro from a year ago.
When I'm riding, I can't let my allergy medicine put me in a fog. So I only ride Claritin Clear. Claritin works hard to relieve my worst allergy symptoms. Sneezing, runny nose, for a full 24 hours. In fact, it works so well, only Claritin is proven to make me alert and focused. And it doesn't make me drowsy, like some other medicines can. When I get allergy relief and stay razor sharp, I'm ahead from start to finish. Stay alert, stay focused, live Claritin Clear.
Well, time now to announce the winner of the Head & Shoulders Hat Parade. An impressive showing 2 weeks ago at the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs, where it's a tradition that the ladies and the gents, some of them, have their fanciest hat. That was Gary's favorite. But here was the winner. This hat led the field with the most online votes at NBCSports.com. The Head & Shoulders Hat Parade. Well, it's a little different scene here at Pimlico for the Preakness Stakes. The infield gets pretty rowdy. In fact, sometimes it seems to put its Churchill Downs counterpart to shame. You can bring your own refreshments in. The mudslides, even before the rain hit, were in operation. The horses weren't the only things racing around the streets surrounding Pimlico, and for a price, you get a little help with your refreshments. All part of the Preakness scene, the 132nd running of the second jewel of the Triple Crown. We update you on the odds. 30-1 on Mint Slulip, Exchanger 21-1, Circular Key at 5, Curlin 3, still the second choice. King of the Roxy and Flying First Class are double digits. Hard Spun, still the third choice, 4-1, 7-5 on Street Sense, 22-1 on CP West. 2 weeks ago, the Queen and this country's equine royalty gathered at Churchill Downs. But no question, this year's Derby belonged to Calvin Burrell. A triumph for a jockey little known outside racing, but the latest in a long line of successful jockeys from the Cajun country of Louisiana. Names like Delahousie, Romero, and Sellers, and current riders DeSormo, Melanson, Guidry, and Alvarado. To see his current celebrity status, you would think Calvin Burrell was an overnight sensation. Well, you'd be wrong. It's been a long time coming.
2 days and counting until the Preakness, as the Derby winner has arrived in Baltimore.
Get your autograph. Good riding, man. Good luck.
Thank you, buddy.
It's unbelievable. It's a dream. The appreciation that the people, give to me. And I try to give it all back.
You want to take a picture, buddy?
Boo is a really loving person. He treats everybody like he wants to be treated.
Calvin, he remembers where he came from, and he remembers the little guy.
Best of luck. If Calvin ever changes, I'll lose faith in all humanity.
Get her done, Calvin. Triple Crown, baby.
It was always my dream, to become a rider. Since I was 8 years old, that's what I wanted to do, And my daddy always told me, if that's what you want to do, you got to go get it. Nobody's going to give it to you.
And Street Sense has roared from 19th position to first in the Derby. A stretch running sensation.
Every day he wakes up, he gets out of bed with the prospect of finding a horse that could take him there. And we finally found Street Sense. That is the culmination of 25 years of nothing but wanting that one moment.
To ride a horse like Street Sense, I go out there and let him tell me what to do. If he don't fall, there's no way he'll get beat. He give me my dream come true, so I'm gonna do my best and try to pay him back now.
This is where it all began, on the dirt tracks of the Louisiana Bayou. Calvin Burrell's passion for horse racing started at an early age. After the 8th grade, he dropped out of school to become a horseman, but what he was taught at home was entirely different than the racing world he knows today.
You didn't have no shoes, you rode barefooted most of the time. Most of the time you didn't have no helmet. At first you didn't even have a saddle. Sometimes horses would come out the tracks with a chicken on them, you know, and I mean, I seen some of them even paint, you know, paint a gray horse and made him black. When we grew up, we had to work for what we wanted. I wanted to win the Derby. That's the only way I could get there, is by working. We just two old country boys from back home. I don't think you could put it no sweeter. I mean, that's why we're so happy, you know, because, you know, he proved that he could do it just like everybody else.
Congratulations, man.
I appreciate it very
Congratulations.
much.
So happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Yesterday, Burrell made his first trip to Pimlico. Today, he'll continue his quest to make racing history. From the humble beginnings of Louisiana, he never lost sight of his dream. Part of that dream was realized 2 weeks ago. And in just a few moments, his unlikely journey continues.
This is his life's passion, and he's one of those people that knew what he wanted to do ever since he was a little boy, and he went for it.
Calvin Burrell, very popular in the Riders Colony. Look at him. He is absolutely beside himself, standing straight up in the irons, accepting congratulations.
I just want to thank my brother to get me here. I wish my mama and daddy was here. This is the most greatest moment of my life.
This is Calvin. This is Calvin's true love. Calvin has now went from sugarcane fields of Louisiana to the pinnacle of America racing that everybody knows.
And in the Jockeys Room Live, Calvin Burrell on the right, Mark Guidry on the left, Robbie Alvarado at the end of the couch on the left, and 3 riders from Cajun country reliving some of those memories of Calvin Burrell's upbringing and reaching the pinnacle of success with the ride on Street Sense 2 weeks ago. Donna's in there too. Donna, sit down next to Calvin and see how he's feeling right now.
Calvin, what are your thoughts after you watched that feature story?
Yeah, it's a great feeling, you know, to have my guys sitting by me and watching it with me. And, you know, like I say, just wish my dad was here to watch me ride, but my mom was watching at home, and my brother, you know, he's just like a father to me, so I know he's watching. And my fiance, she's all of 100% win, lose, or draw, you know, so I'm just enjoying the ride.
Well, Calvin, you mentioned your father who passed away 3 years ago, but you also mentioned that your mother's watching from Louisiana. Do you have a message for her real quick before you go out and ride this race?
Yes, ma'am. I love you, Mom, and I'm going to do it for you.
Okay, real quick to change the subject, tell us about your trip to the White House.
It was unbelievable. I mean, it's the dangest thing I've ever been to. You know, it was in such a short notice, and like 6-hour notice, and we had to get there, and they opened the mall for my fiance Lisa and got her address and stuff, and had tux and everything waited for when I got there, and it was unbelievable. The president, you know, I walked in and my fiance read a book to me about for 3 hours, so what we had to do, and when we walked in, you know, it kind of changed all the subjects because you know, the president hugged me and picked me up. He said, "This is the man of the hour," blah, blah, blah. And then he introduced me to the Queen, you know, and then I was very settled after that.
That's nice. I want to change the subject to today's race. Is it possible to discuss your strategy with, I know these guys are your compadres, but they're also your competitors here in a little bit. You've been known for coming through on the rail, and the track's played pretty fair here today. Do you have a strategy in mind for today's race?
No, I'm just going to let him break and run his own race. You know, if he's the best horse, he'll win. You know, and I deep down in my heart, I think he is the best horse because he's going forward. You know, he's never showed me any indication that he's going any backwards. So I'm just going to go out there and, you know, like Carl says, just take what they give you and go from there.
Good luck to you, Calvin.
Thank you very much.
Tom, I have a feeling there's a woman in Louisiana who's going to be rooting pretty hard for Calvin Burrell for this one.
I think she understood what he said, even though she speaks mostly French down in Cajun country. And, you know, here's a pretty good measure of the man, more so than the White House dinner or any of that other stuff. On Derby Day, just over an hour after the biggest moment of his life, after winning the Kentucky Derby, I was in the paddock at Churchill Downs. I looked up, and there was Calvin riding in the last race of the day. I said to him, haven't you made enough money today? Shouldn't you be celebrating somewhere? And he said, no, I told the man I'd ride his horse, and I'm going to ride him. And Gary, I'm wondering, he is famous for coming up the rail. How is he able to seemingly go unnoticed and get through on the inside so often?
Well, I said it earlier, a lot of the guys don't know where he's at, but Calvin is a specialist. If you've ever been in rush hour traffic, you know about the blind spots. Well, jockeys have blind spots, and that's right directly behind him. And you see Calvin Burrell put himself directly behind Liquidity and David Flores. David moves out. Now he's got a horse named Sedgefield and Julian Le Peru in front of him. Julian's down on the fence. He has to come out around this one horse. So Calvin is capable of coming around horses if he needs to. Now he's got the target in front of him right now. It doesn't matter if he sees him or not. He's running by Hard Spun in the Kentucky Derby.
And of course, all the other riders can't afford to just concentrate on Calvin because they have to ride their horse in a way that's best for their chances as well.
That's 100% correct. Whereas Street Sense loves it down on the fence. Many of these horses are intimidated down on the inside. They won't run down on the inside. So when the race is really developing in the last quarter of a mile, these guys are looking to get out and get their horse in the clear and go from there in the final quarter mile.
Well, Calvin's ride, of course, benefited Carl Nafsker, who won his second Derby in 3 tries. Right now, he is with Kenny Rice.
All right, Tom, you made the call a long time ago on Calvin Burrell. 10 years ago, you started riding him on your horses. But last year, when you had Street Sense, you knew you had a potential horse there with a lot of talent. Why did you go with him then? Why have you stayed with him?
Well, basically, we went to him because Calvin's a great horseman, and he can help you develop a horse. And we felt this horse had a lot of talent, and we went into a situation where we wanted somebody that could relax him, let him win the races instead of us trying to win the races.
And as far as coming into today, you know the talk. Well, he's great at Churchill Downs. He is great, Calvin Burrell and the horse Street Sense on the rail. How will it shape up for you today? Can you win off the rail?
Well, that's up to Calvin, and I don't think we have any problem winning off the rail. We just tell Calvin, you know, in the paddock, you know, read the pace, ride your race, and have fun.
You said he had that great clock in his head earlier.
He's got a great clock. He better not blow it today.
All right, let's go to you, Tom.
All right, Kenny. And if you're watching today, it's your chance to play the Preakness Stakes Lucky You game. You could win 10 grand and a trip to next year's race. Grab your cell phone, hit 70459, then text A for Street Sense, B if you like Hard Spun, C for Curlin, or D for the rest of the field. You can also vote online at NBCSports.com or at Preakness.com. Back to Pimlico in a moment. Back for the 132nd running of the Preakness Stakes. Update you on the odds. Not much change there. Circular Key at 5, Curlin 3-1, 4-1 Hard Spun. That hasn't changed, although Street Sense has gone down a tick. Street Sense now at 6-5. And right now, Mario Pino, the rider of Hard Spun, in the jockey's room with Bob Costas. Bob?
All right, Tom, it's Maryland's own Mario Pino. Earlier, you were watching here in the jockey's room when Gary Stevens and Tom Hammond were talking about the clipping of heels down the stretch. I think we have another look at it here. Did it ever cross your mind to claim foul?
Yes, it crossed my mind, but actually I thought we just hit a soft spot in the track, or I wasn't positive that I hit the heels of Street Sense there. But, you know, it crossed my mind a little bit, but I don't think it, you know, would have made any change, and it wouldn't have made any difference.
So it didn't affect the outcome of the race or the margin of victory for Street Sense?
No. I think he was well by me then, and it wouldn't have been any change, and it didn't affect my horse much. I mean, he did bobble right there. At first I thought it was just hitting a soft spot, but as you can see, I might have clipped the back end of that horse's heels, but, you know, it wouldn't have changed anything.
Okay, after a good run in the Derby, now here you are at the Preakness on your home turf. You got to feel pretty good.
Yes, you know, I'm 1,000 races here, and, you know, it gives you a little confidence booster there, but I don't know how much it comes into play.
Strategically, does it come in at all?
Well, strategically, I'm just going to ride my horse the way he always runs. You know, he's always up close, and you know, we'll play it like that. But you know, just you know, I don't know how it comes into play that you know they're all smart jockeys and great jockeys that are in the race, and they'll adjust.
Good luck today, Mario.
Thank you very much.
Mario Pino, let's go back to Tom.
Bob, earlier today he won the 5,900th race of his career, and earlier in the week I was talking to Hard Spun's trainer Larry Jones and said, yes, we know that Mario Pino is at home at Pimlico, but how does that work to your advantage? And he says he rides with more confidence here, and the horse senses that confidence. He says the horse can sense if you're not as confident in your handling or if you are confident in your handling, and that's how he thinks it will benefit him. And right now I see Larry Jones right next to Mike Battaglia. Mike?
Thanks, Tom. And Larry, I know it's tough to lose a race like the Derby, but you really have to be proud of the way Hard Spun ran.
Oh, he really did, Mike. He ran huge, and we couldn't be more proud of him or Mario. It was a wonderful race.
And what about, you've been very outspoken about Calvin Burrell getting through on the rail. You've had some comments about that and said it's not going to happen today.
Well, we've tried to speak to each and every one of these jockeys one-on-one and try to explain to them Calvin's looking for the rail. His first 6 options are looking for the rail. So hopefully he'll have to come around a little.
All right, and what about strategy? Are you going to go out to the front or let somebody else take the lead?
Well, Mike, we're going to let Mario play it by ear. I mean, that is his call to make, and he'll just have to see how we take the break and how the others take the break, and just hopefully make up his mind quick.
Thanks, Larry. Good luck. Let's go to Donna with Steve Asmussen.
Steve, Curlin ran a good race in the Derby, considering that he actually got quite a lot of experience out of that trip. How do you make up the difference in the lengths that he lost, though, to Street Sense and Hard Spun on 2 weeks ago?
He's going to need to be a faster horse to win the Preakness today. I love how he's trained since. Horse is doing extremely well. You know, his task at hand is a pretty tall one, but we feel very good about him.
Well, you talked about wanting to see how he came back out of the race, to see if his confidence had been shaken. He'd never experienced anything like that. What did he do to indicate to you that, no, his confidence hadn't been shaken?
It's not what he did, it's what he didn't do. He wasn't a nervous horse. He wasn't anxious. Same demeanor that he went to the track with off of his victories. For him to be a horse good enough to win a classic, he's going to have to step up off the defeat and find more in himself.
Before the Derby, you said to a reporter that you were going to wear your lucky suit. I noticed this is a different suit than you wore on that day. Is this a lucky suit?
We're about to find out.
Good luck to you, Steve. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
With a familiar face to racing fans in the Triple Crown, one Nick ZITO. We haven't mentioned your horse, CP West. He's a big long shot. Realistically, Nick, what are you hoping for today?
Well, I'm hoping for lightning, and that's what I'm hoping.
Lightning to strike and a big long shot to come in.
Right, we got a lot of people here, so that's good.
A lot of New Yorkers coming and rooting on Nick ZITO. Nick, you were absent at the Derby. You've won it 3 times. How much did that hurt you?
Well, it hurts a little bit, but it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't, NBC. It really shouldn't, but, you know, when you want to do something on a high level, this is what it's about, and this is what it's about. So.
All right, I'm looking at your horse, Son of Came Home. He is a good-looking horse, but you know, Nick, this is not a Miss America contest.
It's not, but it's important. I'll tell you, it's important to look that way, because if you don't look that way, you'll never run that way. So maybe something will happen, and, you know, let's see what happens.
All right, CP West looks marvelous. We'll see if he runs that way. Ken?
With me is Steve Cooper, who's the assistant trainer to Mark Schumann with Exchanger. You have a local horse, Steve. You actually even brought him down from Fairhill this morning. He's won over this track. What does that mean, do you think?
It gives him a local advantage. He's already went over the race course once. He likes the track here, so hopefully it'll help him, and we'll see what happens from there. I mean, it's a tough race. You got to beat Street Sense. You got to beat Hard Spun for sure.
You come out of the 2-hole. What will be the instructions to Ramon Dominguez?
Well, Ramon's a smart man. Hopefully he'll be able to just sit the trip, stay close. If he breaks on top, he'll probably stay there. If not, he'll probably just sit the trip and see what happens. Turn around and turn about 3/8 hole.
All right, thank you. The local horses, they've done well in recent Preaknesses as far as finishing in the top 3. Let's go back to Tom.
All right, Kenny, as the rain begins to pelt down again, there's the horse of the hour. That's Street Sense. Little jump up as he comes and sees the big crowd here. They'll saddle him on the turf course in front of the fans, and he's feeling good, Street Sense. Walking him, Paul Rutherford is an assistant Jefferson County, Kentucky attorney who takes some vacation time to come to the Preakness and tend to his hot walking duties with Street Sense, the Derby champion, now seeing the Preakness crowd for the first time. He's the 6-5 favorite. umbrellas are back up, the ponchos are out, but the refreshments are still flowing as the rain pelts down on the crowd of over 100,000 here at Pimlico today in anticipation of the Preakness Stakes. One of the Triple Crown race traditions, of course, is the official jockey's portrait, where they record the jockeys for posterity. They were posing for that a few moments ago, and here we go. As the jockeys, 9 of them that will contest the Preakness, have their picture made for posterity. Now it's time for our Comcast high-speed races. To win a Triple Crown race like the Preakness, you need to finish well, and the record for the fastest final 3/16 of a mile in Preakness history, 18 seconds, set by Summer Squall in 1990 as he beat the Derby winner Unbridled, ironically trained by Carl Nafsker. In the Dogwood stable colors, here is Summer Squall coming to the line ahead of Unbridled, 18 seconds for the last 3/16 of a mile. The Preakness Stakes time record, 1:53 2/5, set by Tanks Prospect, trained by Wayne Lucas in 1985, equaled by Louis Quatorze, trained by Nick Zito in 1996. Both trainers with horses in today's race. Those are our Comcast high-speed races. And making their way from the porch outside the jockey's room down to get the final instructions from the trainers are the jockeys. Saw Robbie Alvarado go by. There's Mark Guidry, Mario Pino, and right behind him Calvin Burrell. And the final jockey down, Edgar Prado, who was on Barbaro in the race last year. Current odds, 5-1 on Circular Key. Curlin went up to 7-2 briefly, but back down to 3-1. 4-1 on Hard Spun, and still 6-5 on Street Sense, the favorite. Now, normally here at the Preakness, they saddle the horses on the turf course so the fans can see them. Some are doing that. Some are also saddling inside under cover in the regular paddock here at Pimlico. And there is a look at Curlin, who is inside having the tack applied. So the handicappers, they were all around it at the Derby. I think Mike said play a Circular Key Street Sense Exacta. And of course, Numi liked Hard Spun. So you guys were all around it, but not precise enough.
That's right, not precise enough. I liked Hard Spun second. Mike liked Circular Key. And
we like the same two today, right?
But a little bit different, because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, this is a NBC first. We're switching horses for today's races.
You talk so well about Hard Spun, you talk me into it. No, seriously, definitely Hard Spun, I think, ran a huge race in the Derby. He was no match for Street Sense. If Street Sense runs that kind of race, yeah, he wins. But he's 6-5. Hard Spun's 4-1. I'm looking at the odds. This horse is fast. He's got a high cruising speed. He's going to be in front when they turn for home, and Street Sense is going to have to run him down. So I like those two again, but I'm putting Hard Spun on top.
We have nothing to knock about Street Sense. He's going to put in a solid run. But I like Circular Key, Mike, because I didn't like the trip he had in the Derby, because midway down the backstretch, he was virtually even with Street Sense. Burrell on the rail and John Velasquez in the blue and orange silks is going to be forced wide on the turn, and there's just a significant amount of ground loss here. He's 7 or 8 wide, putting in a good run, made up about 12 lengths on the turn, then flattened out in the lane. Now, he hadn't run in 8 weeks. Believe it or not, Mike, he might have needed the Derby. Imagine saying that.
That's a very
be sharper for today's race.
That's very possible. Curlin may have too, because he only had the 3 races. So I think both of those horses could improve. You talked about the pace in this race, and I do think the pace is going to be quick. But the pace was quick in the Derby. Hard Spun got out there. He went to half in 46-1. So I mean, the pace is going to be quick today, yes. But Hard Spun is going to be tough to catch.
Agreed. New shooters, no way.
I don't like the new shooters.
New shooters, no way. Street Sense is going to put in a run, but up there at 6-5. We're going elsewhere. Switching picks from one week to the next, confusing the United States of America, including ourselves. Back to Tom.
And there's Calvin Burrell. He can't believe neither one of you picked Street Sense. And our Preakness Stakes Lucky You game continues. Not too late to enter. Grab your cell phone, hit 70459. Here are the results so far. They like Street Sense. At the Derby, you were texting Street Sense. That's who you liked in the Derby, Gary Stevens. Who do you like today?
It's still stuck on A.
Street Sense is his choice as well. You can also vote online at NBCSports.com or Preakness.com. Jim Taffel, the owner breeder, Carl Nafsker, the trainer, Calvin Burrell, the jockey of Street Sense, looking at their Derby champion, a smile on their face. Currently, Kenny Rice, how are they looking down there?
Tom Street Sense looks like the pro that he is. I mean, he looks, though, a little more anxious, perhaps, and Carl Nafsker was a little concerned, possibly, with the big crowd here in the infield area, been able to look on with the rain coming down. That's why he took him inside, saddled him, brought him back out, but he said, basically, he's a pro. Let's go over to Mike.
All right, thanks. And Robbie's getting his instructions now from Steve real quick. Quick question, Robbie. Curlin only had 3 races coming in, got a little bit far back. Do you plan on changing tactics today and maybe using him a little bit earlier?
I'm not using him. I think he'll be forward within himself on his own, not less traffic. You know, he's a good horse and quality horse, and we're looking to win today.
All right, and I know you need to go up and talk to Steve and get your instruction. Thank you, Robbie. Good luck. Tom?
All right, Mike, and Robbie Alvarado had to jump off his Mount Einstein in the Dixie Stakes earlier today. Fell to the turf course, but bounced back up. They checked him out in first aid, and he spoke to Donna Brothers, if you were with us, and he said he was fine to ride here in the Preakness. Steve ASMUSSEN giving him his final instructions. Let's go to Donna.
Well, you're looking at Mint Slulip. You might remember those colors that the jockey has on today. That's Alan Garcia from Scrappy T, the horse that ran second to a Fleet Alex in 2005, also trained by Robbie Bales. Bales was quoted as saying that he's not as confident in this horse to win as he thought Scrappy T could, but it's not because the horse isn't talented, it's just because he lacks racing experience. Having said that, he's only won 2 races from 7 starts, and he's been no better than 4th or 5th in his 2 graded stakes attempts, so he'll need an awfully big race to win this race or even be second here today. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
With Triple Crown veteran D. Wayne Lucas with flying first class, you have your jockey Ron Guidry aside. Will you go blasting out of the gate and set the pace in today's Preakness?
Absolutely not.
You won't?
No, we won't. We're gonna see how things unfold. We got a world-class rider in Mark, and we're gonna let the race dictate. We think we have something to say about the pace. We think we are, going to be on the offense, but we're not going to just get silly and take off. That's your media colleague friends putting out that story.
So you're willing to say that Exchanger or Hard Spun may be ahead of you into the first turn?
Very much could very well be. We're going to leave it up to Mark. I have trust that he'll know where we're at and how fast we're going, and we've got natural speed, and I think we got a horse that's pretty manageable, so we'll see what happens.
All right, very interesting. D. Wayne Lucas says don't look for flying first class on the lead necessarily. Tom?
The plot thickens. Flying first class, so the raindrops falling, and there's Calvin Burrell. He'll be aboard the Derby winner, Street Sense, the horse he loves, when we come back to the Preakness.
Is Jerry here? Is Jerry here?
Yeah, he's here somewhere.
Aerial view of Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore, where a new rain shower has moved in. Temperature has fallen to 69 degrees. Raining, and the NBC Weather Plus tells us this shower is going to be here for the next hour or so. The track, though, still listed as fast. There's the Derby winner, Street Sense, the 6-5 favorite to add the second jewel of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes, here at Pimlico today. And now Jerome Doro with the command, Riders Up. And there is Mint Slulip, Alan Garcia, his first Preakness ride. Getting a leg up from Robbie Bales. The 2 Exchanger, Ramon Dominguez, has won 4 races already today. Circular Key and John Velasquez. Curlin, Robbie Alvarado. And coming up, we'll have Bill School, the bugler, with the call to the post, followed by the singing of Maryland, My Maryland.
Circle is the U.S. Naval Academy Men's Glee Club under the direction of Monty Maxwell, chairman of the U.S. Naval Academy Musical Activities, to sing Maryland, My Maryland.
Thou wilt not cower in the dust, Maryland, my Maryland, my gleaming sword will never rust. Maryland, my Maryland, remember Carolyn.
The Naval Academy Glee Club with the singing of Maryland, My Maryland, the traditional greeting for the horses as they make their way on the track. And the odd weather continues as the rain pelts down. You see that patch of sunlight just over the finish line. That's where the pot of gold will be for the winner of the Preakness Stakes this afternoon. You see some of the tracks have sun, a little bit of a shadow. Calvin Borel unperturbed by anything, including the rain pelting down on him. He's done it thousands of times in the rain, in the mud, in all sorts of conditions. He's just happy to be back aboard Street Sense, the Kentucky Derby winner. And here are the horses for the Preakness. Number 1, Mint Slulip, Maryland-based colt from Dowell and Bales, the same team that sent Scrappy T to the Preakness runner-up spot and nearly wiped out a Fleet Alex 2 years ago. 2 wins at Laurel, his first race at Pimlico, first Preakness ride for Alan Garcia. Number 2, Exchanger. There he is. Trainer Mark Schumann has already won 9 races here at Pimlico this meet, ridden by former Maryland jockey Ramon Dominguez, who has 4 wins on the card. This is the only horse with a win over the Pimlico track. He scored by 5 in the Tessio Stakes in April. Number 3, Circular Key, named for a popular spot in the Sydney, Australia harbor. Todd Pletcher still looking for that first Triple Crown win. 6th in the Derby off an 8-week layoff. Pletcher's best finish from his 5 Derby starters. Number 4 is Curlin, racing in different silks than we saw 2 weeks ago in the Derby. The multiple ownership group Alternate Silks. These are the Midnight Cry stable colors. The Derby, his first loss in 4 starts, first time he had been pressed, and he made that late move to finish 3rd. Number 5 is King of the Roxy. From an $8,000 Keeneland yearling to a reported $350,000 sale after winning his first race, he's earned over $400,000. Winner of the Hutchison, 2nd in the Santa Anita Derby, then pointed for this race. Number 6 is Flying First Class, who cashed in an upgrade from Coach to get here to the Preakness. He's the 32nd Preakness starter, a record for Wayne Lucas, who's won this race 5 times. He won the Derby Trial 3 weeks ago. Number 7, Hard Spun, nearly wore the roses 2 weeks ago, if only Street Sense had not gotten through on the rail. First Preakness for Larry Jones. He wants Mario Pino, Maryland's all-time leading rider, who just passed Jerry Bailey for 15th on the all-time list to stay just off the early speed. Number 8 is Street Sense, or Big Daddy Rabbit, as Calvin Borel calls him, because he loves carrots. Last week, Borel made the mistake of feeding another horse a carrot first. Street Sense pawed the ground, and when Borel approached, bit him. Borel says he shouted, "Daddy Rabbit," and the horse hung his head, but Calvin gave him the carrot anyway. And number 9 is CP West, Edgar Prado, who heroically pulled up Barbaro here last year, returns to the track where he won 14 riding titles. CP West, trained by Nick ZITO, who saddled Louis Quatorze to win the '96 Preakness. This colt most recently was 2nd in the Wither Stakes. And those are the horses for the 132nd running of the Preakness Stakes. The race is up next.
As race time draws near at Pimlico, there are some familiar names mixed in with newcomers, and still plenty of questions. The biggest, can Street Sense continue his bid to become the first Triple Crown winner in nearly 3 decades? What about the shorter distance of the race? Some experts say it could favor the Derby runner-up, Hard Spun. And why not Curlin? The lightly raced colt was 3rd in Kentucky. Or might it be a race for unheralded horses guided by celebrated trainers, like D. Wayne Lucas's Flying First Class, or Nick ZITO's CP West? And then there's Todd Pletcher. With 2 entries in today's race, will he finally earn his first Triple Crown win? Those are some of the questions. Now we're moments away from the answers. Tom, lots of questions, but if you listen to Calvin Borel, he says there's really no question. He told the media yesterday there is no way, barring something completely unforeseen, that the field can contend with his horse, Street Sense. He sees Street Sense taking the middle jewel of the Triple Crown. Tom?
And Bobby's had only one answer when anyone asked that. Even before the Derby, he is very confident as he acknowledges the fans in the post-parade just a few moments ago. And I'd like to ask Gary Stevens if indeed a horse can sense that kind of confidence.
They can absolutely sense it. There's a 6th sense between horse and rider. They can sense a lack of confidence and definitely a show of confidence, and they're both feeling it right now.
I know you were taking a hard look at Street Sense and the other horses as they competed in the post parade. Looks like Street Sense sweating just a little bit. How did you think they looked?
Not bad. I mean, he did the same thing before the Kentucky Derby, but this horse has been a picture of health from 3 weeks before the Kentucky Derby. The first time I laid eyes on him in person, and he looks great. I mean, he's carrying his weight good, and just all the signs look great.
And Donna Brothers, of course, out on horseback on the track now. And Donna, first question would have to be the track condition. We've had the rain off and on. Any change in the track surface itself?
No, Tom, not at all. I'd have to say that this track is going to be labeled as fast. If they wanted to borderline it, they might call it wet fast, but it's a fast racetrack. I don't think that it's going to affect the running of the race at all. And you guys talked about how these horses look. If Street Sense was lathered up or sweaty earlier, he's dried off since then. I guess getting out into the post parade and galloping, get a little feel of the track himself again has helped him to settle down. And Gary, I agree with you. I think he has kept his weight remarkably well. Street Sense is a light-made horse. He doesn't ever carry a lot of flesh on him, and that hasn't changed, but he's not drawn up. He hasn't lost any weight from the Kentucky Derby. Having said that, I thought Hardspun and Curlin looked equally well. And Gary, I don't know if you noticed that Johnny Velasquez took Circular Key away from the pony right as soon as they were able to break from the post parade and got a stiff warm-up in him. I don't think he's going to get any speed in Circular Key with that move, though. What do you think?
I don't think he will either, Donna. I mean, and maybe that's maybe he just wants to make sure that he's alert and he doesn't completely lose touch with these horses today. Keep him in the same area code anyway. But I was going to ask you what he looked like, because he was sort of a surprise entry. I mean, Todd Pletcher hadn't even planned on running this horse until 2 days before they entered for the Preakness. So does he look good to you out there, Donna?
He does look good, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people in the racing business, they kind of threw up a flag of caution whenever he changed his plan after the race at the Louisiana Derby when he won that and decided not to come back with another prep. He gave him more time, and Todd doesn't normally change his plans like that, so everybody thought, well, maybe he's not doing as well, maybe he came off of his feed. But the fact that he changes his plan again and decides to run this horse back because he's doing so well tells me that he is doing well. And in fact, he looks good to me in the post parade. No reason not to give him a shot here, Tom.
And there is Todd Pletcher as he looks on with King of the Roxy and Circular Key going in the Preakness today. Carl Nasker hoping to add the Preakness to his Derby win. He has run in this race 3 times and has not won. His Derby winner, Unbridled, was defeated. Larry Jones, the trainer of Hardspun, the cowboy hat. He's from Kentucky. They asked him about the cowboy hat. He said, well, I'm from Western Kentucky.
From
Always
Western.
has the cowboy hat on.
I was going to say from Western Kentucky, but as they had those horses out on the turf course when they'd finally saddled and everything, it's very rare that you see the trainer go out there and actually the one that's leading the horse, not the groom, not a hot walker, no one else. He is a cowboy, and he's a heck of a horseman.
And most mornings he'll be aboard Hardspun for the morning gallop and exercise maybe a dozen horses every morning that he trains as well. Well, Donna, you've gotten somewhat of a reputation. I even heard Wayne Lucas praise you one time about your ability to eyeball a horse and tell us whether you think they're fit or not. So you've had a chance to see them on the track now. Who do you think looks the best?
Well, all of the horses look good today, but what I wanted to see was Street Sense not look as good in order to pick against him. I've said before, it's his race to lose. I think he looks every bit as good as he did in the Derby. If I pick a horse from the post parade, it's got to be Street Sense again, Tom.
So our 2 jockeys like the Derby winner Street Sense to repeat in the Preakness. Now, what about now? What's going through a jockey's mind?
Right now, I mean, they've got their warm-up and everything is accomplished. Right now, what's going through Calvin Burrell's mind is he's just hoping that this horse repeats his Kentucky Derby victory. Let's get away from here clean. Hopefully, doesn't stumble leaving the gate, any sort of thing like that, and just keep him out of trouble, keep him out of harm's way throughout the race. Don't get him stopped. The rest of the guys, they're trying to figure out if they can get the job done, if their horse is good enough. I mean, you've got Alan Garcia down there on Mint Slulip that he knows he's up against it right now. Exchanger, the same thing with Ramon Dominguez. And, you know, they're just going out there hoping that they can pick up a piece of it. A guy like Johnny Velasquez, he knows that if Circular Key runs to his abilities, he can make a race out of it.
What is the horse able to tell you in the warm-up?
Well, you can sense, in other words, Calvin Burrell, he knows exactly how that horse warmed up in the Kentucky Derby. Versus today, are there any significant changes? Did he get hotter than he did? Is his temperament any different than it was after the trip from Louisville to Baltimore here. And he's giving him those kind of signals right now, telling you if he's on his game or if he's not.
There's Exchanger going in. We saw King of the Roxy and Mint Slulip go in a moment ago. Flying first class. Going to the front or not? That's the big question for the Lucas trainee. There's Circular Key into the gate. We know he doesn't have speed. Hard spun. They're loading in the gate. 1 mile and 3/16, $1 million. The Preakness Stakes, and Tom Durkin has the call.
There's the Derby winner taking his spot in post position number 8. And on the outside, CP West with Edgar Prado, who was aboard Barbaro a year ago today. They're in the gate for the Preakness, and they are off. Exchanger gets off to a good start, so too King of the Roxy is there. Hard spun and flying first class, and CP West is with the Vanguard. Under the line for the first time, and it is flying first class. Exchanger's there to his inside. Hard spun going to be caught 3 wide going into that clubhouse turn. He's trying to tuck in behind there, and yes, he's got a good spot. Hard spun runs in 3rd. King of the Roxy is 4th. CP West is 5th on the outside. Curlin is 6th, followed by Street Sense on the outside. Mint Slulip toward the rail. Street Sense forced to take to the outside there. And the last of them all is Circular Key. So they make that way into the backstretch run now. And it is Exchanger who leads the Preakness field. Flying first class there on the outside, and it's 5 lengths. Back to Hard Spun 3rd. The quarter at 22 and 4. Here's the half. 45 and 3/5 seconds. Gut-wrenching fractions here. Up the backstretch run. 5 furlongs to go. Exchanger shortly, and there goes Hard Spun. Hard Spun makes an early and aggressive move for the lead, and now he's in front as the field moves into the far turn. CP West runs in 4th. King of the Roxy is now 5th, and then it's 3 lengths back. Curlin is running in 6th. Mint Slulip 7 toward the inside. Street Sense is 8th, and he's still 12 lengths from the lead. Circular Key trails the field around the far turn. 3 quarters in 1:09 and 4. Hard Spun leads the pack, leads it by a length. CP West is pressing, and there goes Curlin with a bull run on the outside, and Calvin Farrell threading his way through on the rail with Street Sense. They are now 4th. Another big move on the turn for the Derby winner, and the field turns for home. Hard Spun trying to gut it out, and here comes Street Sense now into the breach, and on through to the lead, and Curlin's to his outside. Street Sense in front at the 8th hole. Curlin giving his all, a length and a half behind, and farther back, Hard Spun is 3rd, coming out to the finish. Street Sense, here comes Curlin. Curlin surging. Street Sense in deep water. Too close to call. Too close to call. A race of the whip from Robbie Alvarado. He thinks Curlin has defeated Street Sense in the shadow of the wire. It was very, very close. And the final time equaling the fastest Preakness ever. 1:53 and 2. Who won the race?
Carl Nafsker doesn't know. Jim Taffel doesn't know. Robbie Alvarado thought he did. He raised his whip. The 2 former Cajun jockeys, the buddies who were hanging out together in the jockeys room earlier, coming to the line right together. Curlin gaining with every stride, and maybe in the last jump, he got there to win it. That's a freeze frame. That mirror that you can see is kind of blurry, but it is the official finish, and you hear the crowd roar as they take a look at the replay as well. Here are the final strides as Curlin on the outside and Street Sense on the inside, tooth and nail to the wire. The connections of Curlin celebrating. They think they have won it. And they say yes. Now, unofficially, it is Curlin, the winner of the Preakness. The Padua Stable, Sadiq Sanan celebrating there with the Midnight Cry Stable folks, Shirley Cunningham Jr. The race is named for his grandfather, a freed slave who fought for the Union. So it is Robbie Alvarado, who took a spill earlier, who celebrates now, and Donna is there.
Well, Tom, once again, I'm having a tough time getting to my jock because Robbie Alvarado was getting congratulations from Mark Guidry. Robbie, you were the first guy to congratulate Calvin Burrell after he won the Kentucky Derby. How's it feel to get your first Triple Crown win?
I just want to congratulate me just now also, so this feels awesome. Unbelievable.
When did you realize you were going to run Street Sense down?
Well, actually, I would Curlin didn't negotiate the sharp turns too well here, unfortunately, but Street Sense ran underneath me, turning for home, and Curlin just dug in. What a very talented horse here, Donna. Very talented.
Robbie, it looked like it was just sort of just head and head right through the stretch at the wire. Did you realize you got up for the win?
Yes, I realized I got up, and I think Calvin knew it also. I was close, but this guy was coming, man. Another 16 of a mile, you never know. Could have been win by 2 or 3, maybe.
Robbie, this horse had an experience gaining trip in the Kentucky Derby, and sometimes that'll take a lot of energy out of a horse. But Steve ASMUSSEN decided to run him back. Obviously, he didn't think that was the case. Do you think the race in the Derby helped him to win this race here today?
It was tremendous help for him. I felt I had a different horse from the first quarter of a mile to the last quarter of a mile. He grew up in the race. I mean, the first part he acted like a 2-year-old, the last part he's like a 5-year-old.
When he stumbled out of the gate, were you worried?
No, not worried, because my intention was to jump on him a little bit, get him in the race more. I found myself comfortable. When I seen horse SPUN move up the backside a bit, that was my target. I knew Calvin would be coming, so and then Calvin just drug him to the wire after that.
So when he stumbled out of the gate, you immediately had to go to Plan B?
Yeah, Plan B, and jump on him a little bit more.
Plan B worked. Congratulations, Robbie. Tom, it looks like this Triple Crown is setting up for the Cajun contention.
It is indeed, as Robbie Alvarado gets his first Preakness win. Ditto for trainer Steve ASMUSSEN. This horse, Curlin, you'll remember, came to the Derby undefeated, was the second betting choice at 5-1, just a dime over the 490-1 odds of Street Sense. And Robbie Alvarado, who we wondered if he'd be able to ride in the Preakness after he, on Einstein, had to jump off to avoid a fallen horse in front of him. Calvin Burrell meeting the media as he was just nipped at the wire by Curlin. The owners, Midnight Cry Stable, Padua Stable, Stone Street Stable, George Bolton, they bought this horse for $3.5 million following his debut win. And here he takes the Preakness, and I guess the Derby, Gary, was a learning experience for Curlin. He'd never faced adversity. He'd won his 3 races by a total of 28.5 lengths. I see Bob Newmeyer with Calvin Burrell. I'll get your answer in a minute. Bob?
All right, Tom, thank you. Calvin, Calvin is going to embrace Carl Nafsker. Why not, after the terrific run?
No. He just got outran. He just got out the last bit of it. That's all. The last 40 yards, you know. Well, he gets that lead. He backs out just a hair on it. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you. All right, Calvin, you can turn around. Thank you, sir. Tell us about your trip today.
Had a good trip. I mean, no excuses, none whatsoever. You know, this when he made the lead. You know, he kind of, the crowd. You know, and he kind of went to pulling up a little bit about the last 40 yards with me. You know. But I can't take nothing away from the winner, because I went by the winner. I thought I was home free, and he just come back and got me, you know, just like, at Kingland. And nothing, I can't take nothing away from him. My coach run a good race.
People said that you moved too soon in this race. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
The opportunity come, and I took it, you know, and I know what the horse, he's supposed to have a quarter of a mile run, and, you know, Carl's satisfied, so I'm satisfied. So I still think he's the best horse, you know. It's one of them things, you know. I think he went to hang in about the last 40 yards, you know, in the crowd and stuff. It's kind of close to the racetrack, you know, and everything, but no excuse.
You looked over and saw Curlin coming. Did you still think you had the race won?
No, I thought he was going to get to me again, you know, when I seen him coming, creeping up back to me, because my coach went to, he wasn't really stopping, but he was kind of misjumping because of the crowd, you know. He kind of hangs around, you know, and I didn't want to drop over to the fence, because I thought the fence was a little bit dead, you know, once I got in front of the other horse. So, no excuse. Got outrun.
No excuse, says Calvin Burrell on runner-up Street Sense here in the Preakness. Tom?
And you got a chance to listen to Calvin talking to the trainer, Carl Nafsker. Very gracious as always. Said he just got beat, and he did get beat just in the last stride of the race by Curlin and Robbie Alvarado, who again overcame some adversity, as he had at Churchill Downs.
Absolutely, and here was right here. Number 4, Curlin, coming out of the starting gate. He stumbles. When they actually open up the starting gate, straight onto his head. Robbie Alvarado knows what he's got. This horse went into the Kentucky Derby as a little boy, came out of it as a man. Not many horses can stumble like that and overcome it. You heard Robbie Alvarado say that he had to step on him a little harder. Whenever you've got to use your horse early on in a race like this, it's going to take some petrol out of that horse for the finish. He wasn't worried about it. We're going to see it again right now as he comes out of the starting gate.
And Robbie, remember, took a spill earlier, so he had to have his heart in his throat as the horse stumbled coming out of the gate, but he didn't panic, did he?
He didn't panic, and it happened so quickly. Gets his back on his feet right now, and Robbie, he's asking this horse to really get up in there and secure a position, and it's a lot more than you would normally want to use early on in a race going a mile and 3/16. He's got him exactly where he wants him to be now, just behind the pace setters there. Got him about 6 lengths off of the lead.
They're keeping Burrell off the rail too. Did you see that?
They're keeping Calvin off of the rail a little bit there early on, and you heard Calvin say he was worried about the inside being a little bit heavier, and he didn't exactly want to be down on the rail there. We talked about that earlier today. At Robbie Alvarado, he secures his position out off of the rail. Probably is deeper in there, but he's got his hands down low on this horse's neck. He's just kind of moving in rhythm with him a little bit, and still, I mean, right here, if observing-wise, this horse doesn't look like a horse that's going to go on and win the Preakness right now. Robbie's starting to peck at him pretty early on right now. They've still got a half a mile to run. You see Robbie reach up and pull one of those sets of goggles down right there like we were talking about earlier. He's just going to swing this horse now. He's making up some good ground. Best part of the racetrack to be here at Pimlico is about 4 lengths out off of the rail. Robbie actually is passing these horses very, very easily
by
now.
King of the Roxy and flying first class, and then puts away Exchanger. And now hard spun after some of the fastest fractions in Preakness history. He's out in front, takes the clear lead here. And with Street Sense and Curlin closing on him.
Calvin Burrell coming through on the inside. And with I think that Curlin was actually pulling up when he made the lead. Once he saw his competitor, Street Sense, make the lead, he dug back in. He wasn't worried about the crowd. He wasn't worried about the noise. You see him pinning his ears and just come back like a locomotive and nail Street Sense right on the money.
Just in the last stride, and Robbie Alvarado knows it. The Cajun jockeys run 1-2. Here it is, right to the finish. Watch this last stride just get him in front to win over the Derby champion Street Sense. The official photo shows you that it is a short head victory for Curlin over Street Sense. And the ground level, you see Calvin Burrell sneaking a peek at Curlin. He knows Curlin is coming. You heard him tell Bob that. Left-hand whip. Curlin driving, Robbie Alvarado hoping that the finish line is going to be just far enough away he can get there.
Calvin Burrell is out of goggles right there, and I'm telling you what, he's squinting a little bit right there. There's a lot of debris that's coming back on this racetrack, and it's sticking to him. He's out of goggles, and that's not a fun thing to happen when that sand's coming back. I don't know when he ran out of his last pair of goggles, but I guarantee you his eyes are going to be feeling it tomorrow.
So Curlin winning the Preakness, now being led in for the official ceremony. He's a 3-year-old colt by Smart Strike out of Sheriff's Deputy by Deputy Minister, bred in Kentucky by Fairs Farm, paying $880, $380, and $280. Street Sense second, $3, $240. Hard spun, $3. The $2 exacta, $23.20. The $2 try paid, what's that say, $50 even. And the $1 super, $340.30. So Curlin is the official winner. And, you know, we said they alternate the colors that because he has multiple ownership. Here, a tradition at the Preakness is to paint the winning colors on the weather vane of the cupola. Well, it was good luck. The Midnight Prize Table colors get the treatment. Curlin wins the Preakness. Thanks to the MetLife blimp flying in inclement weather to give us the aerial coverage of today's Preakness. MetLife has the protection you need for the most important ifs in your life. Visit MetLife.com today. And Curlin headed back to the stable after just nipping Street Sense in the last stride to take the 132nd Preakness Stakes. And let's review again how he did it as we watch the Avodart In Case You Missed It replay.
And here's how he does it. He stumbles leaving the gate, but with the exception of that, Robbie Alvarado just gave him a flawless ride. You see him directing him out off of the fence there, securing a good position right there, and just making sure that he keeps his horse out of trouble.
Just inside Street Sense there at the moment as they go into the first turn.
These boys were keeping an eye on each other. I can guarantee you that. There was a chess game from the start, and Calvin Burrell gets directly behind Robbie right now, as we were talking about before. Right. Robbie probably thinks that's him just inside of him when he's actually dropping back and back behind Robbie.
Finding that blind spot.
Finding the blind spot, and as they turn into the backside, just rounding the 6 furlong or 3/4 mile pole right now, you can see Robbie start to get busy on this horse. And after watching this race right now, I'm not so sure that this horse isn't going to improve again, Tom. He's running a little bit green and a little stop and go. if you will, from the time they started. Robbie would get his attention and kind of get him in gear and then go to settle on him, and this horse would start dropping back, and then all of a sudden Robbie would have to start pounding on him.
I mean, he is still inexperienced, isn't he?
Still very inexperienced, and as they rounded the far turn, he's making a huge move here. Looks like he's going to just blow past our front runners right now. We've got Hard Spun coming into the stretch here after setting lightning fast fractions. And Robbie easing up on the outside right now. Looks like he's going to blow right past him. As they enter the stretch, he sort of starts to back off it again, and looks like Street Sense is just going to run past him and win for fun. Once he's got that target back in front of him, doesn't care about that crowd noise. Robbie Alvarado getting busy with that right hand, giving a couple smacks on his shoulder, and right now he knows he's got a chance to come back and win this thing. Calvin Burrell down on the inside with Street Sense, hitting him left-handed, trying to keep these two horses as close as they can to each other to give them the encouragement and the fight to see who's going to be best at the finish.
And here's Street Sense, the Derby winner.
Here we go, coming into the far turn. And you're going to see Calvin Burrell reach up and pull his last pair of goggles off right now while he's still got some horses to pass. He's just splitting horses. Believe me, he can see where he's going if he threads the needle like this. This horse is moving under his own power right now. He's not getting a whole lot of encouragement from Calvin. He's just taking his time with him, saying, hey, Street Sense, if you want to go on right now, it's time to go. We've got 3/16 of a mile to run. He pulls the trigger, asking for everything that he's got, thinks he's responding the right way. You're going to see Calvin look back here over his right shoulder, and I think he's actually a little bit surprised to see that Curlin's coming back on him. It's very, very rare that you pass a horse at the quarter pole with the authority that Street Sense does, and the horse comes back and beats you. So I guarantee you, when he peeked back over his shoulder, he couldn't believe that it was Curlin that was coming back and beating him.
Jim Taffel on the right, the owner breeder, Carl Napster on the left. They think they've got it. A smile. And then they see, well, maybe not. Curlin got him in the last jump. And they're not sure. Now, reality sets in. You heard Carl say, I think we got nipped. And that's our, in case you missed it, Avodart, in case you missed it, replay as Curlin wins the Preakness in only his 5th career start. Here's the full order finish. Curlin, Street Sense, and Hard Spun, after some of the fastest fractions ever in the Preakness, holds on for 3rd. CP West was 4th. Circular Key never had that closing kick we expected. King of the Roxy, Mint, Slulip, the long shot, Exchanger, and Flying First Class, finishing last in the field of 9. So it was Curlin with a relentless move. He had been headed by the Derby winner, but he came back on him, nipped Street Sense at the wire. It's Curlin, the Preakness champion. Back at Pimlico, all set for the trophy presentation after Curlin has taken the 132nd Preakness. For the presentation, let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Tom, multiple ownership for Curlin. Seems like all of them are up here, although Jess Jackson from Stone Street Stables will accept the Woodlawn Vase from Governor Martin O'Malley in just a moment. But first, here's the CEO of Magna Entertainment, Michael Newman.
Thanks, Bob. Well, it was an epic day and a record crowd here. The people of Maryland came out in droves for what turned out to be a record Preakness. So we're just thrilled, and all of our congratulations from everyone at Magna Entertainment to Curlin and Robbie Alvarez. A wonderful race. We're so thrilled for Jess Jackson and the rest of the owners. We think they did a great job, and it was a huge competition. It couldn't have gone better.
Here's Joe DeFrancis, the CEO of the Maryland Jockey Club.
Thanks, Bob. And now for the presentation of, as you know, Bob, the most valuable trophy in American sports. It's a real honor for me to introduce Maryland's leader, our governor, the Honorable Martin O'Malley. Governor?
Hey, Bob, thank you. This is, Maryland is a state that's very proud of our racing tradition. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we keep that tradition strong. And it's my great honor to be able to present on behalf of the people of Maryland. And Joe DeFrancis, thank you for a great day today. Want to present to you Jess Jackson, Satish, George Bolton, the entire ownership team of Curlin, and also congratulations to Robbie Alvarado, the most coveted trophy in all of American sports, the Woodlawn Vase. Congratulations on winning the Preakness.
Thank you, Governor. We're delighted to be here in Maryland
This is a classic race, one of the oldest. Maryland is probably the birthplace of thoroughbred breeding in America. We're so pleased to be here. We beat a champion in Street Sense, but Curlin's going to be a champion too. Bob, thank you.
Congratulations. Mike Battaglia has trainer and jockey, I believe, somewhere amidst all this.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, trainer Steve Asmussen and his wife Julie, their 3 sons, Robbie Alvarado. Congratulations, guys, on a great win. And I know you want to introduce your 3 sons, Steve.
Absolutely. We got Keith, Darren, and Eric here, and my lovely wife Julie.
And a lot of owners.
It took a lot of people to get this horse in the barn, and I appreciate all of them.
All right, Robbie Alvarado, we're going to take a quick look at the replay. And coming out of the gate, first we're going to talk about a little earlier when you had the problems on the 10th race with Einstein. When you went off of Einstein, I think they've got something here. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that, Robbie? Explain to us what happened.
Well, just unfortunate. Horse broke down in front of me, and I was trying to miss the jockey and the horse out, and he fell right in front of me, and Einstein was able to jump him, and I come off on the side of him. That's the nature, worst part of our business when the horses break down that way.
A very scary moment there for everybody involved, but thank goodness Robbie came out fine. And again, you had problems at the start here.
Yes, he stumbled pretty good leaving there. My main thing, that was my whole focus today, just try to get him away from the gates in order, and the first thing he does is stumble. So absolutely there, from that point on, you go to plan B and just try to keep him in the race within himself without overdoing it, and he did it. He did everything I asked of him.
So after the stumble, did you have to use him a little bit more than you wanted to?
Probably I did, but he's a big enough and good enough horse where I thought I could do that with him today, you know. I felt I had an abundance of horse around the 4th turn that he's getting out, didn't negotiate the sharp turns here, him to go that well. But then
at this point, you know where Street Sense is? You watching?
I have no idea where he's at, but I thought he'd be coming at any time there with a big burst. And here he's, Curlin's getting out with me here, and there's Street Sense on the inside. Flew right on by me. But I knew I had some reserve in the tank, and when I finally, he was in his left lead, I forced him over to his right lead here. And when he got over his right lead, he accelerated and went on, and he run by the champ with a lot of discipline.
This horse could be a champ himself because that was a very game effort. Just his 5th career start. Usually once Street Sense goes by you, he's by.
Yes, he is by, but I tell you, Curlin's a great horse and great connection. Steve's done a great job with him, and I just appreciate the opportunity for them sticking with me.
They stuck with you. Congratulations, guys. Just a great job. Robbie Alvarado, Steve Asmussen, and Curlin upsets the Derby winner, Street Sense. Tom?
And congratulations to Robbie Alvarado and to Steve Asmussen from that great racing family, which includes champion jockey Cash. 3 times a leading trainer in America by wins. He's seen the highs and lows, serving a suspension last year, and today, less than a year later, winning the Classic Preakness with Robbie Alvarado aboard Curlin. A lot of hands on that trophy. Multiple ownership. The new owners paid $3.5 million for Curlin. Robbie Alvarado, Steve Asmussen. Gary, inexperienced, just his 5th career start, but I think we're going to hear a lot from him.
We're going to hear a lot from him. I got one word for him: respect. This horse, it makes you wonder if he hadn't had the trouble in the Kentucky Derby, what could have been. Would have Street Sense still beat him in the Kentucky Derby? Would have it been closer, or would this horse be going for a Triple Crown right now? We're never going to know that.
And once again, no Triple Crown, as Curlin nips Street Sense at the wire in the Preakness. It's been since 1978 since a firm won the Triple Crown. Coming up tonight at 8/7 Central, it's an all-new Dateline NBC, followed by Law & Order SVU and Law & Order only on NBC. Tom Hammond for all of us at NBC, thanking you. You've been watching the 132nd Preakness Stakes.